Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm sure you notice I've got my hands full with Tigger. He is our 16-foot, roughly 70-pound male reticulated python. He's a big boy for a male, and he can definitely be a handful because he is high energy. Today, we're going to be talking about thinking mode. I'll be talking about exploration mode, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be the state of mind that we want to get our animals into before we handle them, so that we can all have nice, safe, happy experiences with our big snakes, just like this one right here. So you won't want to go anywhere, whether you've kept snakes forever and you're thinking about getting into bigger ones, or if you just think we're really weird for keeping these guys. Maybe we'll answer some questions today on Intrepid Exotics.
Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics.
Now, real quick before we get started, if you guys enjoy seeing these animals, if you enjoy learning about them, make sure you jump down and get subscribed to the channel. Helps me, helps them, and helps us keep putting out content about these guys and helping to quell the fears and help folks learn how to keep them happy and keep them so safe. So, we've already talked about a couple different modes that we talk about modes in snakes. They're either sleeping, they're in food mode, they're defensive, breeding aggression, stuff like that. And since they don't give us much in the way of facial expressions, we've got to be able to figure out how to get them into the mode that makes them safe to handle, and that's thinking mode, which is what this fella is in currently as we speak. And you can see his movements are really slow and deliberate, those long tongue flicks, and I'm probably going to end up breaking a couple rules here because I'm trying to keep him on my shoulders and in frame for the whole video, which is easier said than done. This animal weighs 70 pounds. He's 16 feet long, and I've already been wrestling him for a half hour. So he has calmed down a little bit, and I at least don't have to chase him across the yard. But a key point that I want to make as I'm dripping out here, key point that I want to make about these guys, especially for folks that aren't familiar with keeping snakes, is that I want you to notice how tolerant and how tractable, how manageable, outside of the weight, this guy really is. And when you think about big snakes, a lot of times you're going to think about the Burmese in Florida and the python hunters and how they're grabbing them by the back of the neck and fighting them and all that stuff. That's the worst frame of mind that these animals will be in. And they're in fear for their life, so it makes perfect sense. When we keep these animals in captivity and we work with them, we work with them in such a way that they learn to trust us. They know that we're not going to hurt them. They're familiar with us. They know our scent. They know what we look like. Reticulated pythons are among the smartest snakes on the planet. They recognize their keepers. So once you build that relationship with them, they can be perfectly safe to work with, as long as we don't do anything stupid. And by that, I mean just going in, not giving any thought or consideration to what frame of mind they're in when we go into the enclosure. Just reaching in to grab them. Maybe they're sleeping. Maybe you startle them and they bite you. Maybe they've got a food response. They pick up the heat and they're going to come bite you. So there's a lot of bad things that can happen. Now I'll take my hook and I'll just kind of tap him to make sure he's awake. Rub him just for a second, just to make sure he knows, okay, yeah, we're here. And I'll put my hand on him. And then when I put my hand on him, he understands that, okay, it's time to interact. Now I'm doing that after I make sure he doesn't have food response. So that avoids the whole bad situation arising from a feeding mistake or scaring them and getting a defensive bite or something like that. Now, once they get, with him specifically, when I first go in, he'll run from me a lot. He's really solitary, so I'll put my hand on him and he'll start to run. Now, once I get him out, it's like he automatically just gets curious about the entire world around him. And the only reason why he's not trying to run right now is he's probably tired. He's probably as tired as I am, which is why we're still puffing and panting and sweating and all that other stuff, but hey, it is what it is. It's all part of keeping big snakes. Now, the reason why I used him specifically is one, he's a little bit easier to see in his green background because my female is bigger. She's 17 foot, about 80 pounds. He is 16 foot, about 70 pounds. But the yellow, of course, is easier to see. Plus, he is really a bit of a success story. When I first got him at about 11 or 12 feet long, terrified of people, chased me out of his enclosure, would attack me at the drop of a dime. I could not do stuff like this with him previous to spending a couple months really working with him and just letting him know that, you know, I'm not a threat. I'm not going to hurt him. I'm not going to do things to antagonize him and stuff like that. And we ended up coming to an agreement that I would take care of him and make sure he's fed and happy and not antagonize him. And he wouldn't give me stitches and damaged tendons and try and crush me. And so far, it's been a pretty good arrangement. Now, those of you guys that keep bigger snakes, I'm sure you've heard at one point or another that from somebody around you that you're crazy, that snake's gonna kill you. They just don't understand how you do it. And if you're one of those people who's watching this and you're going, man, that dude's crazy, that snake's gonna kill him, please just understand that it's not a matter of that animal wanting to kill us or wanting to do us harm, because they really don't. These snakes, in their natural state of mind, are really peaceful. They're really chill. They just want to roam around and explore. They want to make sure they're eating, or want to make sure that they eat something and make sure that they're not eaten. Those are the only things that they're concerned about. So when we've got these guys and we get them into that mode where they trust us, then they can be one of the easiest, except for the weight, one of the easiest snakes to work with because of their intelligence. Now, it's really kind of funny because a lot of people will get nervous when their snake wraps around them like this. And I have had some pretty big snakes wrapped around me, 2 or 3 coils, and trying to hang on, squeeze them pretty tight. And it can be a little unnerving, but personally, with my animals, I like it when they do this because it just makes them that much easier for me to manage. As you can see, when you're dealing with a 70-pound noodle that wants to run away from you, you can definitely have your hands full. But as we talk about the frame of mind with these guys, a couple things to remember that are really important. One is, and I've said this 100 times, I'll say it 100 more, reticulated pythons can either be the easiest snake in the world to work with, or they can be the most terrifying, because they are the longest snake species in the world. They do get incredibly strong. They have 6 rows of incredibly big teeth. They can hurt you. So none of the stuff that we talk about here is intended to make light of what this animal is. What it is meant to do is to really drive home the importance of the fact that we are in complete control of how safe we are when we're working with them. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen immediately. Some animals, if you find one that's been abused or is scared of people, it's going to take time. You're going to have to work with them. It takes time to build trust with them sometimes, just like it did with this guy. But this thinking mode, this exploration mode, this is the key. This is the key to working with all of our animals, because this is their natural comfort zone. You know, if you see them in the wild, they're not going crazy running around looking for something to bite. They're chilling. They're looking for a place to warm up, to cool off, to get a drink, maybe prowling around for a happy meal somewhere. But they are really chill apex predators. Now, when we get them into this frame of mind, they're so easy to work with. I could bring a kid out here, 12 years old. I could bring him out here and explain to him what to do, especially with this animal right here. Say, hey, go in, grab him about 3 feet, really gently, 3 feet behind his head, just gently lift him up, you know, touch him first, make sure that he knows you're there. When he doesn't react to that touch, just go ahead and pick him up a little bit, and then just go ahead and start carrying his part over. You can just gently drag him across the grass. It's not going to hurt him. These guys are nothing but muscle surrounding that spine. It's how they get along anyways, by dragging their body along. But this isn't one of those things, working with big snakes, where you've got to think you've got to be some big tough guy to do it, because it's not. I mean, I've seen really, you know, smaller statured people learn their behavior, learn how to work with them. I've moved 20, 22 foot snakes around before, and I'm not going to muscle them around. No, I don't know too many people that are. That is a lot of animal to work with. So if you don't do it right, you don't use some technique, and you don't lean on the relationship that you got with that animal, and you try fighting them, a good chance you're going to lose. So, you know, it would be really difficult if I had to try and fight this guy. So it's really important that we work on getting them into this state where they're relaxed. So we're looking for this ideal frame of mind when we're working with them. So the way we get the animals to this point is just by doing everything in the series that we've talked about so far. And that's in being respectful to them, putting in the effort to understand their behavior, understanding what we need to do in order to get them into this thinking mode so that we can interact with them safely. And if we do those simple things, like I said, these guys can be an absolute joy to work with. It's a personal thing for me. It's really important to me that folks that don't keep these animals, even if you can't understand it, even if it's something that's really alien to you and you're really terrified of these animals, you at least need to hear that we can have good relationships with these guys. We can get to know them. They can get to know us. And this is proof positive. This is right in front of your own eyes. This isn't some guy talking about, you know, how many bites he's taken or you know, fighting snakes and everything to try and, you know, get attention and scare everybody about our animals. This is what it's really like. Most of us that keep these animals manage to keep them just like this. There's nothing tough about it. As a matter of fact, everybody I know that is really good working with these animals, they don't come off to me as tough. They come off to me as empathetic and understanding and a little bit humble, because that's really what we've got to be able to do. We've got to take this animal that a lot of people look at as frightening, that some people may look at as a being that's beneath us for one reason or another, and we've got to humble ourselves and say, okay, yeah, I'm the higher level organism here, but I'm going to let this lower level organism dictate what I do. I'm going to base what I think on what I see it doing. And when we start looking at it like that, we start to get an understanding for them. And the longer we work with them, the more we're going to start to see more relaxed behaviors and be able to come out and do this stuff. Where the biggest threat you've really got from working with these animals is maybe working up a sweat or having a stroke. Depending on how much you got to chase them around. So really the whole point of this, guys, is one, definitely go down. I'll put in the end screen the playlist for the snake behavior series. Definitely encourage you to get on, check out all of the different behaviors that we talk about, and in a little bit more professional setting in those, but not panting, not sweating. But the whole goal of this particular demonstration right here is to show that if you're having problems with your animal, you're having problems making that connection, or you're not able to handle them without really being afraid of them, you've got some work to do. And if you're one of those people that's never worked with snakes before, you know, just understand that the most dramatic stuff that you see isn't par for the course. Almost all of us that work with these animals have experiences just like this every day, and these guys are such a joy to work with. It's so easy to understate how rewarding it is once you get that connection built with these guys, and they just enjoy your presence. Now, these snakes are solitary, but they're also intelligent. So they enjoy their time being left alone, but when it's time to interact, they really do thrive on this. I bring my snakes outside, let them roam around, let them check stuff out. This is all the enrichment, you know, they get the direct sunlight, the fresh air, and this is all stuff that works to their benefit, and it's really key in just helping to strengthen that bond between these guys and build the trust. So, like I said, that stuff just cannot be overstated. Really important that as we're working with these guys, we really put forth the effort to understand them. And one of the keys in working with them is that balance between confidence and caution. That balance has got to be there. If you're too cautious, then you're going to be afraid. You're not going to act in a manner that really makes the snake comfortable. And if you're too overconfident, then you may act harshly, you may miss signs, you may miss taking steps to maybe change their frame of mind and stuff like that. So you got to have that right balance there. You got to know that, okay, I've been working with these animals for years. I know him, I'm good at it. If he bites me, I know how to manage and all that other stuff. And then you walk up to the door and you forget everything and you go, okay, what is this snake thinking? You know, that's the first thing that goes into your head is you look at him and you're just like, okay, what are you doing? Are you sleeping? Are you hungry? You know, can I figure out what your state of mind is? And then you go in, you open the door, you use your hook, and everything that you do is just reacting to whatever they show you. And there's things that we can do to just, you know, move them a little bit, use the hook in a certain way to get them moving away from us, and then just getting our hands on them. And then that's where the confidence really has to come in, because you can't grab them haphazardly and leave them dangling or let them feel like they're being snatched. You got to make sure you're supporting them. And when you're picking them up out of that enclosure, their head is going to start coming around. It's going to be right here. It's going to be in a position where it can bite you. It's the thing about these bigger snakes is we can't hook handle them like we do smaller snakes. We've got to have our hands on them. And they've got to be able to trust that we're not going to throw them into the ground. So when we pull them out, you know, that head's going to be coming around. We can do things like moving with them and stuff like that to kind of keep their head redirected. But ultimately, that's where the confidence has got to come in. That's where we got to trust them. And we just focus on making that animal feel secure. And we handle them, we hold them, we work with them. If they want to get down, maybe let them get down, pick them back up, stuff like that. But all of this stuff is all the stuff that builds confidence with us when we're working with them. And it really makes the animals feel comfortable. And it makes them feel like they're not threatened. They don't need to bite us. They don't need to get away. And it makes these guys so easy and rewarding to work with. So I'm going to put him back. I just wanted to get this video out really quick and kind of go over this exploration mode that you hear about and what it means, and show how tolerant these animals actually are. All of the jostling around, all of the dragging and carrying and all this other stuff, as long as you're doing it right, they'll put up with it. They'll be fine with it. You know, just like him. I'm going to go over here right now. I'm going to pick him back up and we're going to show you. All right. Now, when I went over to pick him up, he really didn't want to get off the ground. He kind of flattened his body out against the ground a little bit. Kind of like, leave me alone, dude. But, you see, you can see how tolerant and how forgiving these animals can be. You know, they put up with a lot when they're trying to get away and do their thing, and we're picking them up and dragging them and stuff like that. So I definitely give him credit for that. And I trust him not to do anything silly. Because he's a good boy. Ain't you, buddy? So don't forget, guys, go from here. If you haven't seen the rest of them, I will link the playlist for the whole snake behavior series in the end screen. So check that out. By all means, if you got any more questions, comments, things like that, anything that I may not have covered here, which I'm sure there's some stuff, because it can be pretty exhausting working with these big snakes out here sometimes. Get right, buddy. There he goes, exploring again. But yeah, drop it down in the comments. If you're not already subscribed, jump down, get subscribed to the channel. Help these guys out. Helps get out to more people too. And don't forget, As we're filming today, it's Saturday. Tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, we're going to be live. We do our Saturday night live stream every Saturday at 7 Eastern, followed by our Zoom meetup call for all our contributing Patreon members, which is a lot of fun too. The links for all that stuff will be down in the description. And you guys have an awesome day. I'm going to put him back, and we'll see you guys next time on Intrepid Exotics.